That night, Yuya gets ready to go exploring. However, just as he opens the door to leave, he's reminded of the words of the sage named Owen he had met earlier, who cautioned him about not being aware of the kind of place he intends to go exploring. Apparently, it is the darkest region of all, the most dangerous region in the land. Furthermore, he is told that the monsters he defeated so easily are of a level that could see them destroy large cities if they attacked in a pack. The monsters Owen speaks about happened to live fully in this region. Remembering this, Yuya is left wondering about what kind of place the sage lived in. He, however, chooses to ignore the words of Owen and heads into the region to continue exploring. Getting there, he kills a monster easily by cutting through it. He believes that going deeper into the forest would provide him with stronger monsters to kill. The first kill doesn't do justice to his thoughts. He thinks the forest isn't as dangerous as Owen had claimed it would be. Now bored and with no other monsters in sight, he decides to call it a day and continue his exploring some other time. Just as he turns to leave, he hears the cry of a dog from a distance. The dog, on the other hand, is being beaten by an ogre and happens to be defenseless. Getting there, Yuya takes his time to evaluate the ogre's strength and realizes that it's very powerful. The attacking stats of the monster amount to 2000, and he is no match for it. Upon realizing this, he opts to turn around and leave the dog to its fate. However, when he does so, he is bothered mainly about the fact that his grandfather, whom he looked up to, would never do such a thing. This makes him decide to help the dog. Immediately, he charges at the monster with his weapon in fear, hoping to divert its attention at least, already ready to face whatever wrath his good heart would incur from the monster. Surprisingly, this was just enough to kill the monster and save the dog. The fact that he screamed loudly and charged aggressively when all he had to do was poke it made him feel embarrassed, although he remembers how he had beaten a bloody ogre a while back when his stats were at 1. Looking closely at his weapon, he wonders who the sage that had made it was, that he could make something so powerful. Leaving that thought aside, he focuses his attention on the now severely injured dog. The dog, at the time, sees him as a threat and is ready to charge at him. He, however, brings out a liquid substance that can help it recover and offers it to him. Just as he offers it to the dog, it passes out hurriedly. Yuya feeds it to the dog just in time for it to regain consciousness. When the dog wakes up, he becomes extra friendly with Yuya and even licks his hands. Just then, Yuya seeks to know what happened to its parents and why it is alone. Although the dog denies being lost, it admits to knowing where its parents are. Seeing how pitiful the dog is, Yuya offers it a chance to live with him. Without much contemplation, the dog agrees and is filled with excitement. He assures the dog that he has a place that would be suitable for it and asks to know what the dog wants to do. Almost immediately, Yuya is shown information about a new skill that allows him to make monsters into allies. Before accepting, he checks the dog's stats and realizes that it is very strong. After that, he agrees to be allies with the dog. Now that they are allies, Yuya feels they need to decide on a name for the dog. Considering the dog's jet black fur and color, he decides to name it Night. Happily, Night jumps on him, and the two get ready to head back home. The next day, Yuya checks his stats to see how he now possesses some daily necessity items. This is because he now owns a dog. One of the items happens to be a brush, which he uses to scrub Night's fur, and the dog seems to be loving it so much. While doing this, he checks his stats to see if there is any progress and realizes that they haven't increased. Seeing this, he finds it strange, especially after he has defeated a lot of opponents who were more powerful than him. Just then, he realizes that assumptions won't solve the mystery of leveling up, and he is hopeful that he would figure it out eventually. The next morning, Yuya leaves Night alone at home and heads to school. There he informs his friends about his intention to go to a pet shop. At first, they wonder what he seeks there since he isn't known to have a pet. To end their curiosity, he informs them that he just had taken in a dog the day before. Hearing that he has a dog, one of his friends, Katie, is thrilled and immediately asks to see a picture of the dog. This she does, well, she almost has her face in his. In reply, he states that he doesn't have a picture of the dog since he doesn't have a smartphone. Hearing this, one of his friends is shocked that there would be anyone in this area that doesn't have a smartphone. They find the mere thought of it to be inconvenient. In his defense, Yuya thinks he has never felt the need to have one but promises to consider getting one soon. Back to the issue of a pet shop, his friends recommend one close to the shopping district, which also has an animal clinic. They urge him to check it out, and this he agrees to. However, he asks them to come with him, but they each give an excuse stating that they can't come since they have plans, while the others give excuses. Katie raises her hand and opts to go with him. While she accepts to go, she makes it seem like she is suggesting it happily. Yuya asks her to come with him, and she agrees, although she assumes that it's a date, but Yuya doesn't hear her clearly. Later that day, Yuya arrives home to a very happy Knight who jumps on him immediately. He informs Knight that things would, unfortunately, have to continue this way since he would need to go to school. Just then, he reveals the things he had bought from the pet shop, stating that he had got them with the help of a friend. One of the items happens to be a collar, which he places on Knight's neck. He informs Knight that he doesn't have to wear it indoors but will only wear it when they get out. After putting it on, he seeks to know if it's tied on the dog, but it signals that it isn't. After that, the two decide to go outside for a walk. While walking in the park, everyone admires Yuya for being so handsome and his dog for being so cute. Although the attention they give Yuya and Knight is so glaring, the two remain unaware. Just then, a man passes by and says hello to Yuya. Hearing this, he's surprised that someone would say hello to him for just walking. This makes him realize just how amazing Knight is. Shortly after, he's met by a friend of his named Kaori. When they see each other, they are surprised. Immediately, she asks about who the little dog is, and Yuya introduces Knight to her as a new member of his family. Seeing how cute he is, she bends to pet him, and this draws the attention of everyone around. Once again, they are all made to see a beautiful combination of a handsome boy, a beautiful girl, and a cute puppy. On the other hand, Kaori finds Knight to be very cute. She seeks to know what breed he is, but Yuya doesn't seem to know. He states that he only had found the dog and took him in. Kaori is surprised to hear this. Looking at how happy the dog is with Yuya for everything, she says, Knight makes a sound. This makes her call him smart, stating that it feels like he can understand all that she says. Well, he actually can. While they talk, an old female friend of Yuya calls out his name. Turning around, he sees that it is the fashion model Miu. Miu's appearance puts Yuya in an awkward situation as he seeks to know why she is there. In reply, she tells him that she lives around the area and takes a walk there around that time. Then she seeks to know who the lady and the dog he's with are. He introduces Kaori as his friend and Knight as his family member. Seeing Miu, everyone around immediately recognizes her as the fashion model Miu. On the other hand, she wastes no time as she leaves, revealing that she has one more reason to take a walk there often. The reason happens to be Yuya. When she leaves, Kaori asks if Yuya and Miu are together, but he denies abruptly, stating that they are just friends. Just as she's about to leave, a woman screams in the distance, announcing that her purse has just been stolen by a pickpocket. Seeing this, Yuya directs Knight to chase after the man while he calms the woman down. Shortly after, Knight approaches them, dragging the man by the collar. After that, Yuya instructs Kaori to call the police. Hearing this, the man immediately springs up, brings out a knife, and threatens to stab her. He charges at her with a knife, but he's immediately stopped by Yuya, who grabs his hand and hits him to the ground. This makes everyone around clap, and they're thrilled about what they had just seen. Later that night, Yuya and Knight continue exploring into the forest together. They battle various beasts and use their individual abilities to take care of the monsters they encounter while advancing deep into the forest. They are met by an ogre, the kind that had beaten Knight earlier. Without wasting much time, Knight charges at the monster and finishes it off with Yuya's help. Going further, they meet a very dangerous magical beast. Seeing it, Yuya hides and tries to analyze the monster's capabilities. While doing so, the monster finds out and is ready to attack. When he notices this, he has no other choice but to attack. He immediately instructs Knight to create a distraction that would give him an opening to attack. Just as he instructed, Knight used his speed to appear at different points in the forest, confusing the monster and leading it to unleash its power. This gave them the chance they needed to strike a fatal blow, causing the monster to die. Taking a look at what the monster had dropped, Yuya is surprised to see a bath. Checking it out, he realizes that it will be dangerous to have a bath there and decides to take it home with him. At home, Yuya and Knight have a refreshing bath before continuing on their hunt for monsters. Going further, they are met by a very fast monster. Looking at its stats, Yuya realizes that the monster would definitely have a weakness if they hold out for a while. Just as he said, its weakness shows itself, allowing them a chance to strike the monster. Killing this monster significantly increases the stat of both Yuya and Knight. Advancing deep into the forest, the two arrive at a dumping ground with no living creatures. Just then, Yuya's attention is drawn to a book lying on the ground.